Today, we're going to unpack what are the requirements for the Massachusetts Civics Project. And you know what? No matter what state you're in, this is relevant. They're very similar, and I want to unpack them in a way that makes sense to be able to plan for this. So let's go right to the doc. Let's unpack it by standards. Let's get into it now. For you, so you don't have to read the document, but just so you know, this is the document Civics Project Guidebook. It is revised as of December 2021, and it is on the DUSI website. So first thing I want to talk about is civic engagement versus community service. This is not a community service project. It is very specific about having a social change lens, not a charity lens. There's a ton of language and examples on page 22 of the DUSI doc, so feel free to dive in deeper. But the big aha for me was we are focusing more on community empowerment and sustained solutions. So this is long-term impact that we're going for, and we're partnering with the community and we're letting the community lead the change. We are not coming in to be the helper and to help the helped, right? So we're not having that distinction of helper and helped or white saviorism or whatever you want to call it. This is a social change lens versus a charity lens. Super important. And I think we often use words like community service. We don't want to, because that's not what we're doing. Another huge theme, and this is the theme of the next few pieces here, we are nonpartisan in this project. That is the language that is used, but we want to define what that means, because often I think people say, well, this is partisan, so we're not going to do it, or we drive students away from projects that actually totally fit within the requirements, but we thought that they might not. And so we actually ended up reducing students' ability to choose something that they want to do, and that might leave a huge impact. So thinking about this political landscape, there should be student choice in the topic. DUSI is very firm about this. Teachers can define the category or area. For example, if you are teaching a science class and the civics project is embedded in the science class, you might want to give it a science theme. So you might be learning about environmental policy, so it has to do with the environment in some way. It has to advance environmental justice, and that is a big umbrella. Students then choose what they want to do for their project or like a subtopic of that. Nonpartisan, as defined in their document, just means no action plans, quote, directed at electoral politics or support candidates in particular elections. That's a literal language that they use. So as long as it doesn't have to do with an election, we can do all of the things. So what that means is students can work on ballot propositions. They can communicate with legislators. They can advocate for a specific bill, and their political viewpoints can be reflected. Like the students' politics can totally be part of it. So teachers can actually support students to do a project like this, but they just can't take the actions themselves of advocating for the legislation via the students' project. They can also introduce new legislation. It is totally okay, and they say this multiple times in the documentation, to influence public policy and or opinion. Projects cannot be disconnected from the present, which means we actually have to have a connection to the present, right? Students have to see the value today. We can't have the students say what they would do without actually doing it. So it's not a plan of like, hypothetically, I would go talk to this legislator and then try to pass this bill. They actually have to do something. Impact is huge. You'll see this several times in here. They can't just post flyers in the hall. They have to take action so that the impact doesn't end after the project, right? We cannot take action where the impact ends after the project is over. And you cannot take action where the impact can't be linked to the action taken, meaning what the students actually do, we have to tie the results to that action. The action itself has to be impactful. We think about class activities. This looks like a lot of class discussions of challenging issues. This is really important. So as a leader, we want to make sure that our teachers are equipped to have these conversations. Students should absolutely be prepared to discuss complex and controversial issues. This is huge. We should have students conducting surveys and interviews. Again, we're partnering with the community. How do we know what the community wants? We want to survey and interview them. Include sources that do not affirm existing opinions. So we want to get all sides of an issue, and we want to celebrate the wins. This is tough stuff. Creating change is challenging, so let's celebrate. Tips for teachers. Finally, I'm just kind of pulling from all across the document here. These are kind of scattered throughout. Projects can be interdisciplinary, so have people make those connections where relevant. It's a great idea to develop a strategy for collecting project information when students go 100 different ways. I remember having students working on like 90 different projects at once. It's good to have a collection doc where there's community partnerships and different things that you're kind of organized about that process. Again, it's very important to remember to teach and assess the process, because achieving change is hard. So we're not actually evaluating whether they achieved the goal, but we're saying, did they engage with the 6 stages? And we'll help them backwards plan from their goal to make sure that they get those stages accomplished. And focus on the system's impact, which means we want to get to the root cause. We don't want to just address the symptom. So we don't want to just do a can drive, right, to support hunger, we want to figure out why is hunger happening in the community, and let's get at that. So finally, I'm just going to say I have brought over here some priority standards. I think these are the priority standards that I have pulled from the 7 Massachusetts History and Social Studies Practices priority standards and kind of worked on some working definitions here. So inquiry, research, discuss, analyze, craft an argument, and take action. This is huge. And then what I would do is I would actually form a unit arc that parallels those 6 stages. Examine self and civic identity, identify an issue, research and investigation, develop an action plan, take action, reflect, and showcase. Not wait to see what you create based on this. Please let me know all of the amazing civics projects and units that come out of this. And if you want help brainstorming, I am always here for you.